What's up, guys? It's your boy, Talton Roberson, back at it again. And today I've got a very exciting video for you guys. It's going to be all about setting up your triggers to scan DVDs and CDs for profit. Now, this is going to work whether you have Scoutly or ScoutIQ. The triggers are pretty much the same. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. So, if this is your first time on the channel, my name is Talton Roberson. I'm a six-figure Amazon seller, and I'm here to help you guys grow your Amazon account like I've done for myself. And so, if you have any questions or anything, you can always reach out to me. But this video right here is all about setting up your triggers for DVDs and CDs. And so, if you are in the right place, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe because I'm going to be dropping everything you need to know to go ahead and start making profitable decisions when it comes to sourcing DVDs and CDs. So if you haven't already set up your triggers for books, I'm going to leave a link right here so that you can go ahead and click that and watch that. You can set up your triggers for books and then come right back here to set up your triggers for DVDs and CDs. All right, guys, the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to your admin panel or your portal or your login, depending on whether you have ScoutIQ or Scoutly. That's going to depend on where you need to go. So if you have Scoutly, you're going to want to go to this link right here, sellertoolportals.com/portal. And this is going to take you into your sign in. And so I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. Nice and easy. And now that I'm in here, you can see that I've got these triggers. Now, if you have ScoutIQ, you're just going to log into your ScoutIQ dashboard, and then you're going to find your trigger sets that way. I'm currently not using ScoutIQ, so I cannot show you that in this video. However, if you are using Scoutly, you can just follow along. Okay, so most people have the default trigger set. That's going to be the trigger set that Scoutly just gives you when you first start out. And a lot of times this default trigger is not what you want to be using. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not what I would use. And so I set up my own trigger set and I called them thrift store triggers. I do have a couple other trigger sets for consignment and doing bulk, but for most people, if you're outsourcing at a thrift store, Goodwill, Salvation Army, that kind of thing, the thrift store triggers are going to be your best friend here. So these are the triggers that we are going to look at. So first thing you're going to want to do is click this edit trigger set. Once you do that, you can see that you can now edit your trigger set. And right here we have the name of the trigger set, which is thrift store triggers. And then as a description, I have used at stores with prices of $2.50 or less. And that's just a general rule of thumb. Now, my guys, we might change it up and just raise our COGS to be a little higher. Right now, our COGS, which stands for cost of goods sold or buy cost, is $2. So we just, estimate $2. That's our average. We paid between, 0 free books and, maybe $4 a book most of the time. And $2 is just where it averages out at. So that's what we use for our buy costs, just to average out it. Now, if we go in somewhere where we're going to spend more money, then we will change the buy cost and then scan accordingly. Now, for the FBA inbound costs, I've got mine set at 25 cents a pound. 25 cents a pound is pretty typical for me. I've had shipments, really right around 22 cents per pound, but I just estimate at 25 just to get close. Depending on where you're shipping from, you could raise this up to 30 or 35 cents. I really wouldn't go over 35 cents. It's not going to cost you that much unless you're really out in the middle of nowhere and don't have Amazon partnered shipping. So in that case, you need to adjust it for your situation. Now we have right here our triggers. Now this is the bulk of where we are going to be playing with. Now we have the book triggers. but we also have DVD, VHS, music CD, video game, software, others. And so I'm not going to really jump into all of these. We're going to jump into the DVD tab. And so now that we're in the DVD tab, you can see I've actually only got 10 triggers here. So 10 triggers for my DVDs. And then if I also go over to my music CDs, you will be able to see that I also have 10 triggers active. And just to be transparent with you guys, my DVD triggers and my CD triggers are exactly the same because both of these categories are very similar in nature, size, sales rank. So I just use the same triggers for both. And so I'm just going to click on the DVD triggers because that's where most people are going to make more money. You can make money on CDs. I will say it is easier to make money off DVDs than it is CDs. So, but you can definitely make money with both. I've sold CDs for like $50 before. I've sold DVDs for like 80. So, depending on, what you have in your area, you may want to source more CDs or more DVDs, or you may just have a lot of both. And so that's a good thing. So, when it comes to editing the trigger sets, you're going to have each trigger lined out right here. And one of the things with Scoutly is you can actually click this edit button, and this will take you into the full edit mode of the trigger. When we were back on this grid, this is a quick edit. And so one of the things that I like to do with all of my triggers is to have this little plus icon show up. And so this little plus icon, you probably won't see it on your screen if you're just looking here, but this is when you come in to the advanced edit. It is when you click use average sales rank and require both. So they're requiring both, and using the average sales rank will give you the plus. I'm not sure which one gives you the plus. I think it's just the require both, but I do want to use average sales rank because I don't want low a low ranked item right now that has been high ranked for several years to be something that I pick up because it may not sell again. It just may be a very, very slow moving item, and maybe, it just happened to get a sale. And so we want to use average because that's going to help us be more concise when it comes to sourcing our inventory. And so I'm not going to go through every single trigger set like this, but I am going to go through the first one. And so when it comes to sales count, the first one I like to set to 150 to 186. So we're going to be picking up items that sells between 150 times and 186 times in a 6-month period. Or instead of times, I should say days, 150 days to 186 days. And some of you may be like, but there's not 186 days in 6 months. Well, this is just what Scoutly uses to determine something that's selling a whole lot. Personally, I don't think I've ever seen it at 186, but I have seen 185. So that may just be the limit. And then for sales rank, I like to set it from 1 to 5,000. And so anything between 1 and 5,000 and 150 and 186 days of sales is going to fit into this trigger. And so this is basically how we determine what's going to be in the trigger. Now, minimum MF price, we could have a minimum MF price if we want to avoid those low price books, but I typically skip this because we do FBA for the most part. So I don't even compare to the MF prices. I want to compare to the FBA prices. And so the second part of the trigger is just minimum MF prices. The third part of the trigger is going to be your target price. Now, this is where you're going to be targeting your price to compare. And so for really fast selling items like this one, my first trigger set, I'm going to compare it to the 4th FBA offer. And we're not going to ignore new FBA offers. We want to see all of them. And as far as the used offer count, we want to use the highest. And so Scoutly has access to the lowest 20 offers. After that, it cannot see anything higher. So we're going to look at the 20th offer if it has 20 offers. And so that's where this comes in. And then the new offer to compare to is going to be the second. Now, for this, you could compare to the first or the second, but I did the second because if one person decides to hop on a listing and bring the new price, say from like $28 down to say 17, well, he might be able to sell out pretty quick and I might be able to get more money for my item. And so I may just compare the second new offer instead of the bottom, especially when it comes to very fast moving items like the ones you'll be pulling in this trigger set. And then the fourth item on our list is to compare to the use by box. And so I want it to select the use by box when it's higher. And so this will select the use by box every time that it is higher than this highest used FBA offer or the fourth FBA offer to compare to. It will not do that for the new offer. It works differently for that one. So right here, you will be selecting the use by box when it's higher than those two. And then when comparing to the new or the new buy box or Amazon, I'm going to do about 5% off on super fast moving items. You'll be able to get some sales, but that's just me being optimistic. I don't always pick up these items if I feel like I really can't get that much money for it. And then for my target profit, this is really what's going to help you really fine tune your triggers is your target profit. This is only going to pull items that I can make $5 on. So if I can't make $5 on it, it's not going to notify me. And so I don't want to be notified for anything less than $5 personally. It's a waste of my time because by the time I get home and package it up and ship it to Amazon, the prices already came down. And even with some of these low profits at 5, that can still happen. And you'll get better, but keeping a higher profit margin is just going to help you be more successful in your business. Even when I have items that come down in price drastically, I'm usually still in the profit, even if it's just by a few cents, because my margins are good. And so I would suggest starting out with $5. And then I've got the dark green color with the cash sign that tells me to buy it. And so this is the first trigger in the trigger set. And so this is going to be the only one that I go through completely like this. The rest of them we're just going to do quickly. So I'm going to go back, make sure you save when you're going through here, but we're going to do the quick edits through the chart. So for minimum sales count on the second trigger, that's going to be 100 to 186. We're going to use this average sales rank and require both. For our minimum rank, that is always going to be 1. So for every one of these down, you're going to have that as a 1. And so I would personally start out with like, say, trigger 1, and then go ahead and do 150 to 186. Trigger 2, 100 to 186. Trigger 3, 50 to 186, and work your way down all of these triggers. And that's going to be the fastest way for you to get the triggers set up. But if you want to have a better understanding of the triggers, I suggest going this way. That way you have an idea of what's happening to the big picture here. But on trigger 2, you're going to have minimum rank of 1, as always. And then you're going to have the max rank at 12.5. So now, not only will it pick up everything that falls in this rank, just like this one will pick up everything that falls in this rank, you'll pick up anything between 5,000 and 12,500. Same here between 100 and 150. And so we're basically creating a bigger and bigger area underneath a curve, if you will. I mean, I was a math major in college, so let me not get too into that, but this stuff is, what I live for. And then using sales rank only will be no, because we want to use the average. We're going to want to use the fourth FBA slot, the highest use slot. We're going to select the buy box if it's higher on this trigger, 5% off at this level, and still $5 profit. And so we can just go through all of these like that. On trigger 3, 50 to 186, and 1 to 25,000 average. Now this one we're going to be using the third FBA slot, still at the highest use slot, and we're going to be selecting the buy box if it is higher, and then 5% off Amazon in the new buy box and $5 profit. Trigger number 4, 25 to 186, 1 to 50,000 average rank, third FBA slot, highest use slot, selecting the use buy box if it's higher, and 5% off, as well as $5 profit. And really, even with these first 4 triggers, you'll be able to start finding stuff, but you do want to complete the trigger set. So on trigger 5, we're starting to get narrowed down to where these are items that we really don't want as much. So trigger 5, 20 to 186 from 1 to 90,000. And honestly, like, this is about where I try to pull off. If it's higher than this, I really consider whether or not this is something I should sell. But here we're looking at the second FBA slot, still at the highest use slot, and we're still going to select the buy box if it's higher. But this time we're going to take 10% off. So right here, our items are starting to move slowly. This trigger right here does not really pick up too many. It will occasionally, but this, it just moves slower. So we're going to take 10% off, but we're still going to have $5 profit. And this will be the last slower moving trigger that I'm considering such low profit, and that's trigger 6. And so if it sells between 10 times, or should I say 10 days, and 186 days in a 6-month period, it has a rank between 1 and 140,000 average, we're going to compare it to the first FBA offer. With this very few days of sales, we're really starting to compete for that lowest offer. And so there we are with the lowest FBA offer, but we're still comparing to the highest merchant offer. Now, kind of at this point, you could not compare to the highest, but I personally still would, because it's going to allow you to pick up a few extra items that you normally wouldn't have. And for selecting the use buy box on this trigger, we're going to be selecting it if it's higher, and we're still doing 10% and $5 profit. Now, when we get to trigger 7, 8, 9, and 10, we will start to see some changes happening. And so trigger number 7, we're talking 5 to 186 with 1 to 200,000 average rank. And so once you really get over 200,000, that's really something you don't want to mess with unless it is just something super rare and you know it's going to sell. You've probably checked it with Keepa. So just keep in mind that these triggers are not so much as important as finding your regular selling items, but more so finding items that have huge potential payouts that may sell very slow, and you may have to sell them merchant fulfilled, or you could take the chance sending in an FBA and it may sell pretty quickly. But regardless, we're still comparing to the first FBA offer and the highest used offer. We are still looking at the buy box if it's higher with 10% off, but now we're raising our triggers up to $10. And so we are going to want at least $10 profit for items that sell this slow. And as it gets slower, we're looking at 1 to 186 on trigger 8, and from 1 to 300,000 average. And 300,000 is getting way on up there. You probably won't pull many DVDs or CDs in this rank. And you can basically see here we're looking for $20 profit, $20 off the new and the Amazon buy box. But we're no longer comparing. We're just looking at the lowest FBA and the second lowest merchant. So that's where it gets interesting. We're starting to compare ourselves to merchant prices because they are starting to sell so slow that we're not really entertained by the FBA price as much. And then trigger 9 is kind of the same deal. We're making sure that it at least sells that can have up to 500,000 average rank. And we're actually skipping what offer we're looking at, and we're just looking at the lowest offer here. No FBA offer to look at. We just want to know what's the lowest offer. And we want to make sure that we can make at least $35, even with 20% off Amazon and the new price. And so that's pretty conservative. You're going to be able to find some DVDs and CDs that will fit into this, but it's going to be very rare. And the last trigger is trigger 10. And so I've actually developed my triggers to be just 10 triggers, and I probably could do it to be less, but I like 10 triggers. So I figure 10 triggers is really nice for most people. So at the 10th trigger, it doesn't even have to sell. We're going from 0. And so this is what I call my catch-all trigger. And so I'm going to catch anything that could be super profitable, even if it hasn't sold in 5 years. And so 0 to 186, still looking at the average, but we're going all the way up to 2 million rank. And so I've never seen a DVD that high. If you do, that would be cool. Screenshot it for me. Leave it in the comments. And yeah, anyways, not comparing to Amazon whatsoever. We're going to be looking at it should honestly say skip this, but most of the time I probably won't ever see an Amazon price. We're going to be looking at the merchant price, anything that gets that high. And we're still taking 20% off. We're not comparing to any used buy box in this case, and $50 minimum profit. And so this is going to take care of all of your triggers for your DVDs and your CDs. All right, guys, you now have all the tools at your disposal to set up the triggers just like me so that you can source DVDs and CDs and sell them for profit on Amazon. If you have gained anything from this video, go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my content. I am putting out videos to help you grow your Amazon business. So, till next time, guys, just remember, the hustle never stops.